Hey everyone, thank you for joining me on today's adventure. Today's trek is going to be very different because it has nothing to do with ancient history, ancient structures, rock art, that type of thing. On this adventure, my wife Annie and I are checking out something totally new for both of us. Okay. Our friend Steve Hunt invited us to join him on an exploration of some very unique spots.
These are all bent flat because when it hit, it just sheared them off. 71.
71.
Yeah. Okay, 71.
But today we are exploring and checking out plane crash sites. Steve is taking us to 2 crash sites today.
This one, F4, I'm going to take you to. I've never found the exact information about this crash, but the closest I've come is I researched a lot on the A12 crash, the Walter Ray. He was in an A12, it was the precursor to the SR-71. And the CIA released a report on that, the crash report in 2002, because it was a CIA plane. It wasn't an Air Force plane. And so when they released that, it said that day that the 101 was looking for a F4C that had crashed south of Caliente, Nevada. So that was the first glimmer of hope that I had. He said he was looking for that and then seen this A12 come out of the clouds at a real steep 45-degree angle. So he bugged off and headed out to find that. And as he was following, he was about 18 miles behind it. It crashed and blew up. So he flew over, reported it to Dallas. Nobody was supposed to know about it because it was still top secret. Yeah. It was the precursor to the SR-71, and it was a one-seater, and the SR-71 was a two-seater. Yeah, and anyway, so that in that report, he tells that he was looking for that F4C, and a bunch of the old cowboys from out that way told me this plane we're going to today's been there since 1968 for sure.
1968.
And so that's my only glimpse of hope of finding out what exactly this plane is. And I've talked to guys that's been to it, but I've not verified what crash it is.
Like I said earlier, we are going to 2 crash sites today. Annie, you ready?
Packed up, ready to go.
The first is near a tiny community called Motocua, close to the Utah-Nevada border. Driving through new places while listening to Steve's extensive knowledge of the area and its crash sites was both exciting and fascinating. I'll share more about Steve's story later, but he's been doing this for a while, taking people to crash sites out in the desert. Some have lots of details, others very little. After driving through the outskirts of Motocua, seeing the farmland, crossing over the creek, we're about to arrive at our first stop. The first site is from World War II. Now, what is a World War II plane doing in the Nevada-Utah desert? Well, we were about to find out.
Right there. See that pit?
It's right here.
Yeah, that's where he knows deer. I've seen deer in here quite a bit. Not so much the last year, but
It's a beautiful drive.
Yeah.
Amazing. Even just that first part with all the red rock.
Wow.
so this is one of the engine cradles. And when I first come down here, I was here because they said it was a doctor's plane. Look at the exhaust saw. Had those big radio
These things?
engines. Yeah, those are all exhaust ports.
Wow.
So that's one side.
I could tell that this place was very special to Steve. Steve was the first to thoroughly research and document this crash site. He had originally been looking into a different crash involving a doctor's plane when someone mentioned a wreck near Motocua. After speaking with another local who knew the general area, Steve found the site. But the large exhaust manifolds that he was just showing me told him it wasn't a small plane for a doctor. So what happened here? Steve told us that on November 3rd, 1943, Lieutenant William G. Kimball was flying an A-20G aircraft approximately 30 miles south-southwest of Range Station near Enterprise, Utah. During the flight, the aircraft caught fire and crashed, resulting in Lieutenant Kimball's death.
That's the landing gear. And it looks like that other one had one on it down there, so it would have been the 2 landing gears on each side of the motor. That would have been where most of the shock and everything was, so the frame would have been beefed up around there.
So nothing was marked here, Stephen, before you came out and did this?
What's that?
Nothing was marked here before you came out.
This cross has always been
the
here.
cross is there.
At least that's what I found out. If you look right here, there's a little plate on it. And I just had it recreated. I left a little plate behind it to respect whoever done this originally. But it's got this one, and that's... Can you read it pretty good?
Yeah,
you can.
Yep.
So the date is that should be the 3rd on that November. It's November 3rd. Thing interesting about it, his birthday was November the 4th. He would have been 26 years old November 4th.
26 years old.
So he crashed the day before his birthday. So this is what I always do. I have these caches here.
Wow. How old is he there? Do you know?
This was just before he died. So
wow.
Probably 25, 24, 5.
Where is he from?
This is when he was flight instructing. He was the instructor here back at Cimarron in Oklahoma.
Okay.
That's his wife, him and his wife.
And so she was pregnant when, when he passed away.
Yeah, so this, they had one baby. That was Sharon that they had. And then Joni B she was pregnant with him.
At the time of Kimball's plane crash, his family already had a daughter who was just over a year old, and his wife was pregnant with their 2nd child. What Steve was about to tell us next was absolutely incredible, something he had personally taken part in. Steve was featured on a local TV station in Utah, sharing his story and explaining why he does what he does. Someone who saw the segment and knew Lieutenant Kimball's daughter passed the story along to her. She then got in touch with Steve, and together they traveled to the exact spot where her father's plane had crashed, right here. Until that moment, her family had never known the location of the crash. Thanks to Steve's dedication and detective work, the Kimball family was finally able to find a measure of closure. Steve began to tell us more about Lieutenant Kimball's daughter, Sharon, and their visit here.
So those are the pictures she brought me. This is her and her daughter.
Oh, those big smiles.
So she kneeled down right here and kissed us and said, "Dad, now we know where you crashed."
Steve says he is still friends with the Kimball family and stays in regular contact with them.
That's what the plane looked like there. That's the A-20G Havoc bomber.
Wow.
That's pretty big.
I found this newspaper clipping about the plane crash. Feel free to pause if you'd like to read it. The article states that a resident of Motokwa saw the plane come down in flames and quickly notified the sheriff. According to the sheriff, the plane struck the ground at about a 40-degree angle. Steve believes he found the exact impact site, an indentation in the ground up on the hill, marked here.
And then I assume he tumbled. If he was coming at that steep, I'm assuming that he tumbled down here. He come to a pretty abrupt stop because from what the sheriff said, he was laying 20 feet from the plane.
Oh,
This plane was burned. Back then, the military had come in and take the engines and anything that was salvageable.
Okay.
You know, so I'm sure they took the engines right away. I put this reef here. In generally, it's pretty well hammered. What we usually do is we'll just pick stuff up that's laying around here and throw a piece on there.
Yeah.
This is the wing tanks off of it. They were all burned up, but if you look pretty close, you can recognize them as wing tanks, if you know anything about them. So the engine would be on the inside of that, and then this is the fuel tank.
Oh,
and there's two of them here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Easy.
If you think it was hot, this is an aluminum ingot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yep.
This is a what? Aluminum?
Aluminum ingot that just melted down from the plane.
Oh gosh.
Just aluminum melted down. And then this is the other engine cradle right here for the other engine.
Oh, yeah.
You had a big heavy jacket that you could put behind you. And he said he bet flying like he was, he'd had his big heavy jacket on and that was just in the plane hanging there.
Wow.
This hanger right here.
Yeah.
Wow.
So just little things like that you find, it's just like, wow.
Makes it more real, huh?
Yeah. During World War II, aircraft were ferried from Long Beach, California, through Nevada and Utah to Great Falls, Montana, before continuing on to Alaska. After reaching Alaska, the planes were handed off to Soviet pilots, who flew them across Siberia to the Eastern Front to fight in the war.
Your dad to get you tagged and branded or something? Just go up and hike down off of this.
Go up this and hike down to it.
It's a lot easier. I thought about hiking around here, but it's so steep that it's easier just to hike downhill to it. Right there, but there's stuff plastered. You can see clear down in the bottom,
Yeah.
clear up here, clear up here.
Yeah, there's white stuff
Yeah.
down in this little
And down
ravine.
in the bottom of it's where I think it impacted.
Steve uses Google Earth to find crash sites, which I found interesting since I use it to scout locations too. He said the wreckage here was visible, and he was right. I saw it myself on Google Earth.
Stay high and go around the edge here.
So you can see pieces all over there.
Yeah, it goes on down in the side too.
Ow! Just kidding. I didn't follow this.
Scared me. Whoa. Yeah.
What do you think that is?
Looks like it's off from around the motor. It's got a bunch of tubes all around there like it was cooling or something. Sheared that off.
Yep.
But
Okay, so Steven, what have people said about this one?
I can't find anything about it really. Only
what
the
people have said.
Cowboys. Brent Hafen said this has been here since '68. He knows. I mean, he rode all this out here. So.
Wow.
I've heard anywhere from 74 to 68.
Yeah.
Some pack rat decided to make a good nest.
Yeah.
And decide. They used to be tough. This looks like something back by the engine, see? Those.
Oh.
Which makes sense if that plowed in like that, all of that back end
Would
is flat.
fly up here.
But you can see chunks over there.
Yeah. So was it painted green, or is that somewhere on the inside or something, do you think?
Well, it was green. It was camo looking. If you look at this tail down here, it's painted
You can see
that
it.
green camo color. I don't think I've ever seen it.
Oops. Aluminum, it's so light. So Steve just found a wheel that he hasn't seen before. Nope. Whoa.
The whole hub fell out of it then.
Got some writing on it, huh?
They're all these parts are stamped.
Steve knew that most of these parts had serial numbers on them, which often included the dates that they were made.
Yeah, I haven't seen that before, that wheel. But it makes sense there. That is actually landing gear.
Is this probably from that?
Yeah.
Now it looks like you can do some more research. Maybe? No?
Yeah. I'd hope to find something better than that.
And with this wheel, we were about to find something that changed our entire visit.
Oh. September 20, 2000. September 18, September 71.
71.
Yeah. Okay, 71. Okay, so it's after 71. He said it had a tag that said 74. If this is the one that I've got the research on, this was a guy, he became the commander of this.
Oh.
Group. Commander or major? Major general. That gives me something to go by though, September of 71. Well, I'm glad I walked over.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that before.
And how many times have you been out here?
We know it's after 68.
Yeah.
This is the fourth time I've hiked down here.
Okay.
Yeah. September 18th, 71.
Steve has done extensive research on the various crash sites in the area, but the details surrounding this site are lacking. But if this is the crash site Steve has in mind, then the crew actually survived.
A lot of little ups and downs to avoid the cacti that's guarding its territory. Do you like how I said territory? As I was slipping territory. Catch up to our tour guide, Mr. Steven. He has the good things. That caught the truck planner on camera, almost tripping.
How big it is.
That's a rear landing gear?
Yeah. So it would have
Whoa.
come down like that. Well, and if you think how big that tire is, we was just messing with.
Up there now, somewhere.
My goodness.
Steve is saying he found the tailpiece with a star on it, so we're gonna check it out.
White star.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that is cool. Oh, you're right. It's like, huh. It was a white star, then they made it a green star?
I don't know. They might have rebranded it for some reason. But see, this must have been the trailing edge of the wing or something, or this was off the wing and that was the trailing edge, because see the hinge on it?
Yeah, you're right.
Turn it over, but it's a little heavy.
All right, so when I was flying the drone, I saw Steve and he was pointing in this direction. He was like doing this. So I think that's where he found that the airplane hit, because it's kind of a clearing and just all the wreckage just kind of spilled up this way. You found it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, when I saw you go like this, I mean, it was clear in the drone shot, just this.
That's right where he impacted.
Yep.
Then that tail hook was laying right there.
Interesting.
Did you see it?
Down here?
Yeah.
Oh, is that what you're pointing at?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's the tail hook.
I guess I didn't know. I didn't realize
It's
that.
only a couple hundred feet if you want to see
Okay.
it. Look at this, Jeff.
So, imagine the impact.
Oh my gosh.
Just making those like come out.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
Ugh.
Popped them right off. Yeah, see that big pit right there?
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, and the tail hook's right on that side of it. And there's no rock, it's just all dirt. It's like it just exploded
Yep.
the dirt out of it.
The front landing gear's over here?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll come check that out too.
Okay.
Yeah. A tailhook is a hook on the back of a carrier-based aircraft that grabs a wire on the flight deck to help the plane stop quickly when it lands. Holy cow, that's so heavy. I mean, it would have to be. Yeah, a little serial number or something. You can kind of tell this is where it hits because it's pretty obvious on the drone, but when you're here, all this is dirt. There's like not really any rocks. Like over there, you can see just kind of ground growth, the grasses. Over here, it's all dirt. Tow hook. big piece of the plane, and it just kind of spreads like this way, just like this, and up here.
One thing Jeff and I will do quite a bit is when we're on a hike and we get to a peak, we'll usually stop and take it all in and enjoy it. Just sit and look out over the valley, take in all the sounds. One of our favorite sounds is the wind, when the wind is picking up. So anyways, I just paused. Hey! I just paused for a minute and was taking this all in. It's beautiful out here. And the wind is picking up, feeling this peace, and then just my mind goes straight to this crash and the obvious chaos, you know, that was happening that day, around 50 years ago, and such a peaceful place. It's sad. It's crazy. So here's some of the big wing pieces that I just came across.
Steve believes the plane crashed somewhere near the X, based on a depression in the ground and the fact that there are no wreckage pieces before this point. The debris is scattered across the mountain in this general area, with the farthest piece that we found located about a quarter mile from the suspected impact site. Oh,
See, it had a bunch of little blades. It's how our turbine blades were at the plant. They knock in there. These are all bent flat because when it hit, it just sheared them off. Wow. But you can see that was the fan on the turbine.
oh wow.
Right up.
Oh, that's heavy. Oh, yeah.
I see you. Yeah, I can't figure out what that is unless it's some kind of an air inlet to the motor right over there.
Oh. Wow. So what kind of plane did you say you think this was?
An F4. There's the other landing gear.
We kept hiking around the mountain, trying to figure out which parts of the plane we were looking at. If you know anything about airplanes and can help us identify any of these pieces, please leave a comment and let us know. After all of this, we headed back to the ATV and had some lunch. We had the chance to ask Steve a few questions, starting with why he enjoys doing this so much.
Well, most of the reason I enjoy doing it is because I'm finding stuff out that started to disappear into history. You know, a lot of people have no idea about this or those plane wrecks that I've taken you to today. They fade away into history, and I like to keep that up.
Yeah.
If you watch that video, Southern Utah Man airplane crashes or crashes, you'll see in there it's just become a passion, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I just love doing it. And I've got several others I can take you to and show you that are just amazing stories. So that's why I do it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have been retired long enough that I know I don't want to work, and this is good work. Once or twice.
Yeah, totally.
Go out like this, but I really enjoy that group I ride with, and I enjoy telling them these stories and passing them on. So that's the main passion that it is just telling stories and repeating them and continuing the history.
Yeah, and when was the first time you started like really getting into it again? Was it really early on?
Well, I was told about a doctor's airplane crash out by Mataqua, and that was the A-20G Havoc bomber we went to today. And when I got there, I knew that wasn't what it was, so I started doing research on that. And then I have always wanted to go to those other two plane crashes by Enterprise. Little did I know they were all linked together. You know, they all come out of that assembly down in Long Beach, California. And
The two sites that we've been to today were both amazing in different ways, but I think what made this one different, the second one, is, you know, you don't know the story. Like, he's just heard a few things from cowboys that were out here, but through his research, he hasn't found anything. He's got some hints. But yeah, like to be able to honor these people and remember them, like you said, like having a story, that's what makes it come alive. So that's the cool thing about this site and today is finding that year, is you're going to do some more research.
Oh yeah.
And if
Yeah,
anybody else can do some research
Yeah.
and tell Steve in the comments.
That's what I really like about that A20G is finding Sharon Lemming, becoming good friends with her and her being his daughter.
Yeah.
And meeting her and her daughter and being involved in that, it was just totally amazing. Yeah, so there's a lot of amazing stories.
And you've got to get more flags up. So Steve, which has probably already been mentioned, he'll put the flags up when he knows that somebody
Yeah, if
died.
we find out a guy died at this site, if I can verify that, I'll put a flag up here. And an information tube, just like I have at these other crash sites.
Yeah, the first site we visited was really cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got choked up when you told us that story at that work site, that baby girl finding out, the older girl now, but when her dad passed away when she was young.
Kneeling down and kissing the cross and saying, "Daddy, now we know where you crashed at."
Yep.
Yeah.
How you not known for all these years? 80 years.
After spotting the dates stamped on the wheel part's serial number, Steve realized he could finally narrow down the search for what this crash site actually was. Fortunately, he had already done a lot of research. So after we wrapped up our own trek that day, we headed back to his house, where he pulled out a binder full of crash records. Flipping through the pages, he was able to match the part to a specific incident, a mid-air collision between an F-4D Phantom II and a F-106A Delta Dart. But what exactly happened that day, and how did it unfold? On November 7th, 1971, during a routine air combat training mission over the isolated ranges near Nellis Air Force Base, a mid-air collision occurred between two U.S. Air Force jets. An F-4D Phantom II, piloted by Major Henry J. Vichelio Jr., with Major James A. Robertson as his radar intercept officer, and a Convair F-106A Delta Dart, flown by Major Clifford L. Lowry. They were conducting intercept maneuvers when the collision occurred. Despite the high-speed impact, all three airmen ejected and survived, suffering only minor injuries. Vichelio and Robertson were rescued later that afternoon by a HH-43 Pedro helicopter crew, while Lowry landed safely closer to Nellis and was also recovered. The F-4 Phantom crashed into rugged desert terrain roughly 35 miles from Caliente, Nevada, near the Utah border, where we were at earlier. While the F-106 Delta Dart went down over 8 miles northeast of Nellis Air Force Base. An official investigation by the Air Force followed, concluding that the incident was the result of a tragic training mishap. I wasn't able to uncover much about Major Robertson or Major Lowry, but Steve found a lot of information about Major Henry Vichelio Jr. The crash didn't stall Vichelio's career. Just weeks later, he was reassigned to an F-4 squadron in Korea, and over the years, he rose to the rank of 4-star general, eventually commanding Air Force Material Command. These days, though, he's retired from active duty. Well, I think that's a great way to end this trek. And I know it's a little bit different than our usual ones, but we felt truly honored to visit these meaningful places, and we're incredibly grateful to Steve Hunt for taking us out there and sharing his knowledge. My channel is mostly about finding ruins and or finding ancient structures and stuff, so this is just a different type of finding, and you planting flags there and information there just really, really cool and special. So, and I know people on the channel are gonna love it too. If you have any thoughts you'd like to share, please leave them in the comments. And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next adventure. I'll be sharing more soon on my other channel, Side Treks, about another fascinating story from Steve that I think you're going to love.